If you are a neurodivergent entrepreneur or professional, whether that's ADHD, ASD, OCD, or none of the above, you don't resonate with any of these labels. You just know that your brain works differently than most people. And you find yourself doing a special kind of procrastination where you're using learning and researching as a justification to procrastinate instead of spending that time to make meaningful progress towards your business. Then you're going to want to stay until the end of this video because I'm going to break down the first and most critical step you need to take in order to resolve this. Welcome back to the Neurodivergent Superbrain series, brought to you by the 25-Hour Day. My name is Colin Response. I'm an entrepreneur, an internationally award-winning performing artist. I am a global ambassador for the #1 luxury brand in the world, and I did all of this with what most people call attention deficit disorder, an obsessive compulsive disorder. I disagreed that it was a disorder. And so I built a business that's helped now over 150 neurodiverse entrepreneurs and professionals rewire their brains from feeling overwhelmed by lack of time and energy so that they could become masters at executing their vision with half the time and with half the energy you are putting in right now. Ultimately, so that they could cut their working hours in half, add $10,000 to $20,000 a month to their income, and have the freedom to enjoy their everyday life in the process. And today, I am blessed to be joined with our guest, Claire. Claire is a certified speech language pathologist and coach. And across the past 5 years, she has helped over 1,000 parents of children with autism accelerate their children's communication. And today, I'm going to show her exactly why she is stuck so that she can decide whether she wants to permanently remove these barriers from her life or not. I'm going to do it while walking backwards. So let's start the step counter and let's bring on our lovely guest. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing well, Colin. How are you?
I am spectacular. Thank you for asking. You know, you're the first person who ever asked me. Nobody cares about the host, but that's okay.
What?
Well, I have your submission pulled up here. So I'm going to share it on the screen and we'll just start by having you read it aloud. Okay?
Okay. I am trying to be more focused and streamlined to work only on the needle moving or income generating activities for my business. I get distracted easily and often use more education and learning as a procrastination mechanism that keeps me from doing what I know I need to do to make real progress in my business. So, right in line with what Colin was saying, I'm your perfect person.
Amazing. Thanks for sharing that with us. Now, where we typically start is we're always going to take the submission and we're going to break it down so that we can see what's really going on. So I don't know how many times it will take me to do this without knowing I need to move my head, but here I go, now on the right side. So I've broken it down just so it's a little bit easier to consume the pieces of the puzzle so that in the most effective way, we can identify where it is that we really need to start here. Okay. So what stands out to me when I read this are the statements doing what I need to do and the needle moving income generating activity. The other thing that stands out to me is what's happening instead of that. So I want to ask, what is it that you know you need to do in order to generate income?
So, I need to have more conversations with potential leads and get them booked on sales calls.
So to make real progress in my business, you know, we have needle moving income generating activities, conversations, leads, and sales calls. And now we have what is keeping you from doing that, getting distracted, by this. It looks like this is where you would like to be. The next thing I want to look for is to make sure that everything we're looking at is in affirmative language. We have defined what it means to make real progress in your business in a general sense, talking about sales and leads and conversions, but we're going to need to actually specify that more clearly. And then we have getting distracted easily, education, learning, and procrastination. Okay, cool. Now we're a little bit more organized. So real progress is broad and vague. It's a platitude. What does real mean? Okay, leads and sales calls, conversations, needle moving. I assume you mean income generating by this. Do you mean anything else by this?
No, I would say it's just anything that generates revenue for my business.
So the next question is, how much revenue do you want to be generating from the business?
So, first of all, I mean, the first goal would be to have consistently 5 to 10 clients a month.
And how much would each of these clients be paying you on a monthly basis?
So, the one-to-one service that I offer is a 4-month package for $4,000.
Okay.
So,
So essentially $1,000 a month for each. So we're just going to err on the side of the top here with the 10 because we need one number. We don't want to be living between two. So you have $1,000 times 10 a month. Obviously, it's $10,000 a month. We have a clear objective, which is to achieve 10K a month via 10 clients. This. Okay. So why do we want to do that? Because we just want to remove noise. We may think that there are certain things we need to do in order to do that, but a lot of the time we can just simply think that these are the right things we're supposed to do. We have to reorient ourselves to what the actual intended objective is, which is not growth. It's not breaking through a plateau. It's not XYZ vague thing. It is a specific thing. For you, it's okay, 10K a month through 10 clients. Doesn't mean that's the same thing for everyone else. That could simply mean you're bringing in 10 new people to your studio, or that you're booking 15 more speaking engagements or something, right? It doesn't really matter what it is. It's just we're just clarifying in a measurable sense what is really going on, because there are many ways that you could get to this result. And one certain way you won't is if this is not abundantly clear. We can start to move to the areas that are actually interfering primarily with this. So how do you want to feel? What do you want to be happening?
I want to have a repeatable process and system for lead generation and consistent sales.
Okay, nice and clear. You find yourself using education and learning as procrastination. What would you want to be doing instead? What is the polarity of using education and learning as procrastination?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I almost need to reframe. So, for example, the conversations that I'm having with leads, like on Instagram and DMs, I need to reframe it because right now it's more of a chore. And I'm like, oh, I don't know if this is worth my time. Is it worth my time to reach out to 100 people a day? So I think I just need to work on that mindset that it is worthwhile to have those conversations. And that is how I build those relationships and build that trust with my brand. Instead of, thinking, oh, I'll just learn more. I'll just learn more about this specific thing related to business or lead generation. It's like, nope, I'm going to make this work and I'm just going to flip my mindset. So it's more enjoyable.
How's that working?
How's it working?
Mm-hmm.
It could be better. I think I still, when I sit down to say like, okay, for the next few hours, I'm going to be messaging people, I still have that like, oh, is this the needle mover? Is this it? Yes, that is what I say. I'm like, is this the way?
This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
Okay, great. So I'm glad you got that. 'Cause half the people watching this will have no idea what I'm talking about.
I love it.
Great. So what we've uncovered here is, he said, like, I need to work on my mindset, switch it, to reach out to 100 people. Now the reason why I asked is like, how is that working? Well, that's because if it was really that simple, you would have already done it, and you would
Right.
already be producing the result that you were looking to produce, right? But it's important to ask that question because this is what most people are going through. Just like, I just need to change my mindset. And then they wake up, they're like, all right, today's the day that for some reason 2 to 3 decades of imprinted patterns into my neurology are going to change now. And maybe it does for 5 minutes, and then you're back to like shit. The real issue, right? But the great thing about being here is we're going to identify, and it's already starting to come out what it really is. So when we aim to produce a result, what do you believe is the single most important aspect to achieve any result?
So just in general, if you want a result, how do you get that result in
Oh yeah.
life?
What would be the first and most important step?
I think deciding on the result that you want and choosing a way to get that result and just doing it, taking action on that way of getting the result.
You will need to decide, you will need to commit, you will need to take intelligent action towards whatever it is you're in pursuit of. But fundamentally, the most important aspect will be your definition of that result. Because you cannot efficiently reach the destination unless you know precisely where the destination is. Pick up your phone, open Google Maps, and you're like, okay, I want to go to Los Angeles, and it will show you a direction to go, but where in Los Angeles? Now, it can kind of point you in the direction, but the only way for you to get there in the most effective way, the most efficient way, is to actually know precisely where it is that you're going. You can be driving the best and most efficient vehicle, Tesla Model S, fully charged, and then you just got like a beaten down like Sunfire from like 1,000 years ago because those things live forever. And it's going to get to the destination sooner than your Tesla is if you precisely know where the destination is. So what screams out to me from this submission is why this is happening. I'm curious to know, why do you think it's happening?
I think part of me with this avenue that I've chosen, with reaching out to people directly, people that follow me, I feel salesy, and I have a deep fear of being seen as like a sleazy salesperson. And so I feel like that brings up a trigger of feeling that way, or being perceived as like, who is this person? Even though I followed them and I like their content, why are they reaching out to me? So I have this kind of fear of being seen in that way, even though I deeply desire to serve them and I have a solution for what they're going through. So I should be screaming it from the rooftops, but I stop myself because I have that fear.
The first thing that you shared was that you have a fear. You have a fear of representing yourself in a certain way. Do you think it's more about you getting distracted, or do you think that it is more about you trying to avoid the discomfort of engaging in this thing?
I think it's avoidance for sure. Disguised as I'm distracted.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now that we've gone a little bit deeper, let us look at what we actually want to be experiencing as it pertains to these things. Because when I asked, okay, what would you like this to look like on the other end? You're like, I could change my mindset. That's a proposed solution. We're not talking about solutions. We need to talk about the destination. Maybe that's a great solution or vehicle to get somewhere, but we don't know if it's the best vehicle to get to where it is that you need to go until we determine where precisely you need to go. Do I take the metro? Because it's rush hour right now, and driving is going to be a terrible idea. Or is there no subway line in the direction that I'm going? And so, probably should drive. Oh, I'm in a metropolitan city. driving's not a good idea. If I ride a bike, I'll get there even faster than a car would. There's no universal right answer. It's entirely contextual to your destination. And what often happens with most neurodiverse professionals and entrepreneurs is they're thinking action first, and they get lost in the sauce before we clarify where is that action going. That is why reframing our language to the affirmative and having clear definitions for a destination is so essential for us to actually reach our objectives in the most effective way. So we're going to look at these things and we're going to see, where is Claire's destination? Not just this one. Cool, we're going to start there. Cool, we're going to the United States of America. Cool. Okay, we're going on the West Coast. Okay. Okay, now to Los Angeles. But now we got to figure out what street, what building address are we going to, so that we can actually chart a route there. So you find yourself having this fear of seeming like a sleazy, greasy butt crack showing
Yes.
salesperson.
Yes.
What do you want to be perceived as? What is the polarity of that? Not even what do you want to be perceived as, like what is the complete opposite of that?
I guess for me, like when I picture reaching out to someone, I want them to say like, wow, thank you so much for reaching out. Like, and then we have a very, I don't know, like it's an aligned conversation. Like, they're overjoyed that I reached out. I feel their energy. I am of service to them. It's very cohesive and aligned. Yeah. So I guess I want to be seen as someone who can help, and only there to help, not trying to get them to do anything, not trying to, finagle them out of money or anything. I just want to serve, which is what I feel like I was put on this earth to do, and why I got into entrepreneurship in the first place, is to have a larger impact and serve more people.
So you want them to thank you for reaching out. You want it to feel aligned. They're overjoyed. It feels cohesive. You're seen as somebody who can help. Okay. Very different than feeling like a sleazy salesperson. So would it be your clients, your prospects, your followers, or basically just the people you speak to? The people you speak to, thank you for reaching out. You feel aligned? You feel aligned? So let's contextualize this.
Like, it just feels like a relationship. Like, it's a very back and forth, not me saying, hey, did you get that guide that I sent you? Hey, are you there? Follow up. And yeah, I don't love that. So I'd love for it to be more back and forth and not so one-sided, me reaching out. Like, wow, it's such an honor that you reached out to me. That's so kind of you to, ask if I got the freebie guide or just to see how I'm doing. It's an honor for them and for me.
The time you feel aligned and cohesive about
exchange and the intent. It's just like, it's pure, authentic, genuine care for another person.
Okay, cool. So now we've addressed the back and forth. When we look at the finagling out of money, what aspect of this is not present here?
Like, for example, when I think of a conversation that I despise and that makes me not want to reach out, is when I reach out just genuinely asking like, hey, what are you here for? Are you here for support? And someone would, like, if someone said, I can't afford any programs if you're trying to sell me something, like it's an immediate assumption that I'm just there to finagle money or like get money out of them. So that's what I want to avoid, those conversations.
Okay. What would be the polarity of that?
That I'm not there to do that I'm just there to connect with them and see how I can help them, which doesn't always mean an exchange of money. It could be me just pointing them in the right direction to a resource that they hadn't considered before.
Pointing them to a resource they've never considered before. So I don't think that this is bad. That's not why I'm saying that, but just like in terms of for simplicity's sake, them feeling like you're taking from them,
Right.
or that you're trying to take from them, versus them their assumption being when you reach out to them that, oh wow, this person's reaching out to me, which means I get something.
Right.
The assumption that they will benefit from you reaching out to them. So now you have feeling of stopping yourself because of fear. How would you like to feel?
I don't want to have fear. I want to feel like, because for me, I realized that the fear that's stopping me is selfish. So I guess I want to feel that I'm only in service.
So
Hmm.
what would be the opposite of the fear?
Good question. What else would I want to feel rather than fear? Do you want to say like my calling or my purpose? Like, but that's not really the opposite. I don't know. Would I be afraid if I fully realized that my purpose was to help them? And in order to help them, I have to reach out to them. So I guess
I mean, I feel like somebody could still be afraid of their like the purpose.
true.
This is great because what we're seeing right now is we're in the sweet spot. This is what I'm looking for when I do these sessions. Like part of this entire series is I'm looking for the sweet spot, and the sweet spot exists where language is not, because it's impossible for it to be conceptualized in our own cognition, our own consciousness. While you're experiencing this thing and you're reaching out to people, it would be impossible for you to reach the destination of excitement if you can't even conceptualize right now in these conditions, a controlled environment with 60 seconds to think with no consequence. There isn't a chance that that is coming up in the context when you're actually engaged, also immersed in these emotions. Like that's not coming out. And that's why those emotions are reinforced. And that is why this experience continues to persist. We
Mm,
have to take this time to identify the language, which will then open up the door for that emotion and information to create a means of retention in our brain so that that can start to imprint upon your neurology and start to imprint upon what your reticular activating system starts to perceive as important information. Then it starts to look for ways that this could be exciting, that this could be fun, or this could be interesting. If you were literally on a top of like a roller coaster that's about to go down, and you start dropping that feeling of say like excitement, if you were falling at the same velocity but not harnessed in, and you were falling off of a cliff, people would describe that as terror, as fear and terror. But somatically, physiologically, it's the same sensation.
wow. That's so crazy. I never thought about that before. That's wild. Yeah, you're right. Wow.
You've had excitement in your life. It's not that you haven't had excitement in your life, but it's not assigned to these things, which means that link is not existing. The potential for those things to happen or orient themselves in that way is not present.
Right.
What other things would you say that could be in the realm of excited?
I'm just still floored that, like you were saying, like it was a minute of me thinking, like, I don't even know. I don't even know what else it could be. Like it's only fear. It's only I don't want to do it and I want to dread it. And you're right. It's just I couldn't even think of a positive opposite emotion. That's so wild. I mean, I guess maybe just fun, having it be easy,
Oh.
because that's definitely not how it feels at all. So good.
Yeah. Now we're starting to get into the territory. You see how these things feel directly connected, synonymous with what's happening under this umbrella. You're not excited and having fun and it's easy and you're afraid.
Mm-mm.
You're not afraid because this thing is fun and easy and I'm so excited. Those things that's
No.
not what's going on. But like we just discussed, physiologically, when you reflect on that sensation, they're eerily similar, if not identical. The decades of experiences that you've had that have tied that sensation to certain language also opens up a door of possibilities based on excitement and engagement. The moment we said excitement, how easy did the words like fun, literally easy to come out of
Yeah.
came out of my mouth. Fun and easy come so naturally, right?
Right.
So
Wow.
ways that this could be easier, ways this could be fun, are never going to come up because we're under this umbrella right now.
Wow.
We need to know our destination so that we can figure, okay, what vehicles could I use, or what approaches could I use, or what thing could I do to make this fun, or make this exciting, or make this easy? What steps could I take so that when I reach out to somebody, that their immediate reaction is, oh, shoot, I'm about to get something. But you see how specific that is, right? Reaching out to people in whatever way that you're presently reaching out to people, it doesn't mean that they're automatically going to think, oh, this person's trying to take money from me. But they're certainly not automatically thinking, oh, shit, I'm about to get something. This is going to be awesome. But if your explicit intention, everything about your communication communicated to people, oh, shit, like, yeah, I don't reach out to everyone, but if I reach out to you, you like be happy because you're one of the one people I reach out to a week, and I'm going to share with you XYZ thing, right? Like, I don't bring everybody on to these sessions, but people pay me thousands of dollars for my time. So when I'm like, hey, would you like to come on? Somebody's excited. Let's have fun.
Absolutely.
I want to open up that for you as we dive a little bit deeper because, like I said, we found that little sweet spot we were looking for. Now, this is what I've been excited to get to. Ugh. Is this the needle mover? Is this the way? This is the prevailing statement, which doesn't strike me as, I know that this is what I need to be doing to produce the result. So why this is super important, Claire, is not just because, okay, cool, you're uncertain. This is where this all comes together. What often happens with neurodiverse folks, perfectionism, procrastination, sometimes even analysis paralysis. Even if somebody is clear on, okay, this is where I want to go. The next most important aspect, after knowing the result that you want, is having a rubric for that result. So you have the definition of the result, and then you have the definition of the outcomes, you could say, that are responsible for producing that result you defined. To use the simple example, you want to get an A on your test. In order to get an A on the test, you have a textbook. And the textbook is this big, and you have a test on this textbook. What does that mean you have to do?
Memorize all of the information in the textbook.
There you go. You got, yeah, like you have to memorize every
Yeah.
piece of information. You can't just read chapter 2. You're probably gonna be fucked. Like, now, if you're about to get a test, and on that test, the professor says to you, your test is on chapter 3. Well, you don't need to read chapter 1, 2, 4, 5, or 6. You would just read chapter 3. Why would you read the other chapters? It would just be pretty foolish to do that. Why is this relevant? Because it's important for them to realize what's happening when you're procrastinating, when you are in perfectionism zone. You have a lack of clarity. You know you want to produce a result, but you do not have a rubric of what actual outcomes are responsible for producing the result. So you have one choice. You have to memorize the entire book. Because the fear is, if I approach this thing and I do it incorrectly, I will fail at it. I will not be successful. Well, what's the only way to be successful? Well, you would need to do all the things necessary to achieve success. That makes sense. If you don't do the things necessary to achieve success, you can't achieve success. But what happens if you don't know what the things are to achieve success? Well, the only logical solution would be to do everything. Because if you do everything, then you can't miss any of the things that are required for success. You will be able to be successful if you have all the information. Because contained in that information is chapter 3. But you don't know what chapter it is. So we try to do everything. Problem here is, it's not a textbook. it's an infinite universe, which means in order for you to produce the result, it is integral for you to have an actual rubric that is clarifying to you, oh, this is only on chapter 3. When it's on chapter 3, you won't bother researching. You won't bother learning some extra things because you're learning the extra things. So you're like, oh, I might need that because you don't know what you need.
Mm-hmm.
If you knew what you needed, you would just not do the things you don't need to do. Most people think that I'm so distracted, and it's like, yeah, okay, to a degree. But what you're not realizing is why. Why are you doing those things? You're not doing those because you like wasting your time. You're doing them because you believe they are going to produce you a favorable result over the alternative thing. But here the disconnect arises when you're like, but I'm not actually producing the results I want to produce. So then you're like, oh, well, I guess I'm not doing the things that will move my business forward. But you're not doing those things because you actually don't know that those are the things. And so then you're like, maybe they're not the things, so maybe we'll do these other things. But I also don't know that those are the other things. Does this resonate?
Very much so.
This right here, this is why we're here. What do you want to feel instead of, I don't know if this is the needle mover. I don't know if this is the way.
I want to feel sure. And I know it'll work if I make it work. And I just have to commit now, having practiced this flipping or changing of the language and to make it more fun. Because now I almost feel like this has really helped me realize that I can make this a new activity. Like it's an entirely new activity from how I was approaching it before. And I think that in and of itself will make it work because I will stick with it if it's more enjoyable, if it's more fun, if it's easier. So it is the way because I will make it the way. Like it'll be the way for me if I choose it and I enjoy it.
This is the way. So instead of trying to be more focused or streamlined, what piece of this, if you're looking at what the polarity is missing here?
Like trying, like that word is not, like it just is. Like I'm not trying, I am doing it.
But what would be the opposite of working?
Opposite of working? I mean, not working.
You're gonna laugh when
Lazy?
I'm not even gonna give it to you because you're probably gonna laugh and cry at the same time when that word
Oh
comes to
no.
you. What's the opposite of work?
The opposite of work? I don't know.
You can even pull up on Google. Like, what would be an antonym of work?
Play.
Play. To play, Claire. Do you think it's any coincidence that this entire process has been so arduous to you? When the idea of something being fun or playful or enjoyable didn't even exist in the sphere of possibility for you.
That's so crazy. No, didn't even think of it. How could that be play? That would be my thought. Wow.
8:01 p.m.
I achieve 10K months via 10 clients. The people I speak to see me as someone that can help and are reaching out to me as well. The people I speak to thank me for reaching out, and they are honored and overjoyed that I have taken the time to do so, because whenever I reach out, they automatically have the assumption that they will benefit from me, seeing how I could help and pointing them to a resource that they've never even considered before. My conversations go back and forth cohesively, and both parties feel aligned about the authenticity of the exchange and feel genuine care for the other person. I am in service. I am sure. I know it works, and I am confident. I am focused and streamlined, playing and having fun, committing to something enjoyable that is even easier. This is my way. This exercise was so helpful because I didn't realize that I had those sweet spots that we talked about. Like it can be easy and it can be playful and fun. And my original submission was all about like, this is my fault. Like I have these issues. I get distracted. I'm not focusing on the needle moving activities. And it's really, that's not what it's about at all. It's really just moving through this fear that's not really real. Like I have a service heart. I am service led. I want to help people. And I can also have fun and ease doing it and doing it in a way that does work for me and how my brain operates. And that's possible. And I can still be very successful running my business in a way that does work for me. Words that should be so easy, I couldn't even fathom using them in the same sentence as my work and what I'm doing. That's wow. That was really eye-opening for me, especially because in my work, the work is play. Like speech therapy is play. Kids want to play. So where did I lose that in my business? So
I'm really, really, really glad that you came on to share your submission, because what I've noticed as this series continues to develop is how much it benefits other successful professionals and entrepreneurs to see that there are other successful entrepreneurs and professionals running into these challenges. They think that because I've accomplished this, well, I couldn't possibly have this challenge, or I couldn't possibly have that challenge. The challenge is not what you think it is. Because if it was what you thought it was, you would do what you think you need to do to resolve it, and you would have resolved it. It's really actually not that complicated. Like if you know the problem and what you think the problem is right, then you do what solves the problem and it would be solved. So if it's not solved, what you think solves it isn't actually what solves it, which means your diagnosis of the problem is actually the problem. When we came here, the number one thing we talked about was procrastination, being pulled in different directions, all this kind of stuff. And the challenge that most neurodiverse entrepreneurs and professionals have is they're getting pulled into all these different directions, but they've never stopped to think why. Why are they getting pulled there? Why am I procrastinating? Well, in a lot of scenarios, it's simply because you do not have clarity on what would be required to produce the result. And because of that, you are digging, you are looking, you are searching, you are researching, you are learning, you are trying to collect all of the information because you know what's inside of everything? The things you need to produce the result. So if I collect everything, I'll produce the result. But the truth is, it's not a textbook. You can't study the whole thing. In your lifetime, you couldn't possibly even scratch the surface of the smallest morsel of everything. You couldn't even conceptualize how much there would be to consume, which means it is a losing battle to go through the cycle. Now, as we went through this whole process, this doesn't mean that she has every answer to everything that must happen. That's not the point. The point here is for you to have clarity on what the actual thing standing in your way is. You still need to ask the questions that are in relationship to what we have here. What approaches could I take that would have people thanking me for reaching out, or having them feel honored or overjoyed that I've taken the time? What strategies could I put in place that whenever I reach out to anyone, they automatically have the assumption that they're going to benefit from me speaking to them? All of these questions, you see how they are leading you so much more clearly to the destination, specifically to the destination. Does my marketing explicitly communicate to people that if they hear from me, buckle up because you're about to get something good that not everybody gets? Are you showcasing the things that certain people did get that other people didn't get because you reached out to them? So that people are like, oh shoot, every single thing that's on Claire's page is an excerpt from when she was offering this thing to a specific person because she reached out to them. I wish the day would come that Claire would reach out to me. I'm not saying you have to do this. I'm just saying that all of these possibilities of fun, enjoyable, strategic, creative, valuable things you can do under this umbrella, not this umbrella. And most people think that there's something wrong with them. I'm procrastinating. No, you are trying to protect yourself from the unenjoyable emotions that are associated with the behaviors you are taking that are related to things you care about, and you don't feel like abandoning the things you care about, and so you persist through behaviors despite whether or not they're producing the results that you want. And so you have to suppress the idea that you're feeling fearful or that you're not liking it or all of these things, or else you feel like you're betraying yourself because you want to reach your objectives, and this is the only way to reach those objectives. Does this sound like it's resonant in any way? This is what's happening.
Yeah.
You are not the problem. The problem is you have not yet learned how to leverage the way that the neurodivergent brain naturally works. And when you do that, you are able to permanently remove these barriers from your life. This is why so many people enroll into these generic business programs or productivity programs or things that are supposed to make them move faster and do more. And they end up doing more procrastinating, doing more researching, and doing more learning, but not doing any more of the thing that needs to produce the result. That is why we do the complete opposite. And we teach people how to unlock what we call the neurodivergent superbrain so that they can access the brilliance that is existing in there. So if this resonated with you and you thought to yourself, I need clarity on what those objectives are going to be, or if you achieved clarity on what those objectives are, but you're not clear on what next steps you would need to take in order to execute that efficiently, that is what the 25-hour day is all about. So I encourage you to click the link that is in the description of this video, and we can show you how to permanently remove these barriers from your life so that you can execute the vision you have for not just your business, but the vision you have for your future in half the time and with half the energy that you are putting in right now. Or don't. The choice is yours. Until then, thank you to our lovely guests, and I will see you next time.
Thank you, Colin. Wow. I'm sold.